Seconds. Oh, and we are live and it says showtime. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for joining me today on this wonderful live talk with Humans of Weston. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Bev G Star. I'm a creative director behind that Creative Thingy Wotsit. I'm running a project called Creating Connections, where I'm shining light on the organisations in our local area. And today I am joined by the beautiful Frederique.
Hello. Hello, Hello,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you so much for joining us. Just before I get talking to Frederique today, I just want to let you guys know that are watching us that there's actually funding that's been provided for this project, and that's from the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sport in partnership with the National Lottery Fund. So thank you to those guys for sharing that funds with us. So Frederique, if you would like to introduce yourself, how you would like the locals to know you, as well as what organisation you're representing today.
Okay, so I'm Frederique Wigmore and I'm the project manager at Weston Foodbank, and I've been in that position just under 5 years and living in Weston for over 20 years now.
And we are blessed to have you. So thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. One of the first questions I wanted to ask you is how your organisation functions. So how does the food bank work?
So we've got quite a bit of a pre and a post-COVID sort of situation. At the moment, we are working from sort of our North Street operation, as well as another 6 outposts, which were set up really from COVID, from a sort of thinking about local solution and enabling people to pick up food, a lot closer. So people get referred to us through agencies. So that could be the council, citizens' advice, somewhere to go. Over 150 midwives, doctors, schools, just loads of different channels, and people get a referral code and then can come to us in North Street, or they can go to one of the other outposts and basically exchange that for a parcel, which is at least 3 days of emergency food. But really, it's probably, we're talking about nearly a week's worth. And then we've got toiletries, stock food, bits and pieces, all these emergencies, toilet paper. We had toilet paper when no one else had toilet paper, so we were very and then we've got a warehouse that is supporting our operation, so that's quite a new thing since November. A lot of our stock has actually been moved to a different operation, so we've got a team of volunteers operating the warehouse, and they sort of coordinate food replenishing across town, really.
It's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, so let's break some of that down. Can you tell me how the COVID pandemic affected your services, being able to reach people? How did it affect you guys?
Yeah, it was, when you think it's just a couple of weeks, would be a year from like sitting in my office thinking, what are we going to do? And, part of us was thinking it could be over in 3 weeks' time, and that could be the end of this. And we've and, worried for nothing. But, as time goes on, he obviously is still with us. So what happened first is obviously we lost a lot of our volunteers. Quite a lot of our volunteers are retired. So a lot of people left. We had to also do social distancing, and in our operations in North Street, it's a lot of small rooms, so we couldn't do that. Agencies were closing, or at least sort of not operating. But one of our great pride at the food bank is that we stayed open all the way through, so we never actually stopped providing that face-to-face service. We operate from the outside, so we're not letting anyone in anymore. And unfortunately, that's one of the things we love doing, was sitting down with people, giving them a cup of coffee, or tea, chatting. And that's just been taken away. So we have a table across the door, and we do that very sort of much more instantaneous conversation with people. But, yes, at some point, it did feel that we were a bit of an island in the middle of a big sea where we were just there. So we just kept going, really. And then it has just been a really strange year of challenges, one after the other. Every time we thought we were reaching a bit of normality and start again, and then another wave of, what's coming next? But also amazing opportunities. I think because we stayed open, our visibility just shot through. And, people have been amazing that even in stockpiling time, where there was no food on the shelves, people were still donating to us. And that was just something that we never you know, just never thought that people would come with their 3 boxes of cereals. That was the only 3 they could get, and they were giving it to us. Yeah, just completely.
And isn't that just credit to your team that, you know, people are aware that there's such a worthy service, and your service users, you know, that people came forward to do those things for you. So your organization's made up of volunteers, is that correct? And paid staff, is there a mixture?
So there's only 2 of us who paid. So we've since the summer, we've also got a warehouse manager and myself, and then we've got altogether over 50 volunteers now. So we've got three teams here in North Street, and we've got 4 teams at the warehouse, and then all our outlets people and our trustees. So yeah, got a big group of people. But
that's massive. And no doubt you still have volunteers come and go, and like you said previously, you know, you couldn't your volunteers couldn't access to give you the community help because a lot of them had to shield themselves also. So in the future, are you looking to take on volunteers? How do people get involved? I know it's really hard at this time to say because of COVID, but are you always looking to take on volunteers in the new normal?
It's quite a tricky one. So at the moment, our teams are full. We've got someone filling in possibly a gap, you know, coming to see tomorrow. But actually, you know, it's one of the things we usually never struggle to find volunteers. And because of COVID, we've got to work with such small teams. So here in North Street, my Friday team used to have about 15, 16 people. We're now operating with 5 or 6 of us because we have to try to stay so, you know, sort of aware and, you know, space ourselves out. But we've got the warehouse as a backup and, you know, operating in a completely different way. But yeah, so I think people will come back eventually. We're hoping that some of the ones we've sort of had to sort of say a little goodbye for a while will reappear and sort of, you know, slot back in. And there is natural rotation, but we've got one volunteer. I was thinking about it. He's been there since day one with us, so since 2011. So I think this year will have to be a 10-year celebration of that commitment.
I think so. That'd be lovely. Maybe we could do a little article on him or something.
Oh yeah, he's very shy, but we'd have to try to get him to sort of do something. Yeah.
Because as we were off camera before we came on, actually the food bank were a feature of Humans of Weston when I first started the project many years ago, and I met some wonderful people behind the scenes. So well done for just keeping such a great little community organisation going. Can you name drop? I know that you said that you get kind of recommendations or signposted by other agencies, but can you just name drop some of those project partners that you work with again?
So as far as referrals, so our biggest one would be North Somerset Council, so the welfare provision team. If anyone is on any kind of benefits, we'd always sort of suggest they go to them. Citizens Advice would be the next one and the line, and then schools. Virtually every primary school and secondary schools in Weston and nearby have got vouchers or the access to give them some of the doctor surgeries, specialist services like We Are With You, Somewhere to Go, all the housing agencies, police, you name it. It just goes on.
Which is most of Weston's organisation, and again, this is exactly why we're shining light on you, because you guys are like the heart, the food bank heart of Weston. It really is, and everybody knows about the work that you do. So, although I really didn't need to interview to shine light on you today, because there are so many people who know what you do. I wanted to. So because
yeah, not to be able to, you know, it's been a year of not being able to go out and see people. Normally, we do a lot of talks in churches, in like sort of WIs and community groups, and obviously this year is one of the things that we've missed, that sort of meeting people, answering questions, because it's still surprising how, you know, people still have sort of maybe preconceptions about us. So it's always really good to reach out and actually have that opportunity to talk to people. So thank you for giving it to us.
I agree. Let me just see what Stephen says here in one of the comments. And whoever's watching today, I do encourage you to leave any comments if you can. So Stephen says, "Hi guys, I'm really looking forward to this. I was a volunteer at Citizens Advice North Somerset for many years, and the food bank was such a lifeline for the families and individuals. I'm a massive fan, and thank you for everything you do in our community."
Oh, thank you, Stephen. And yes, our friends at Citizens Advice, they're so knowledgeable. So we always try to say anyone who's got big questions, we definitely direct them in that.
Yeah, definitely. Are you taking, so how does the donations work at the minute around COVID? Where do people take donations if they have them? Are you accepting them?
Yeah, so we still got all our donation boxes in most of the big supermarkets. So I'm trying to list them, and I'll probably miss one, as I always do. So Waitrose, Tesco, Asda, the Co-ops, Sainsbury's, Morrison's. I've forgotten someone. Hopefully not. No, they've all got donation bins where people can just buy and put it there, and we collect them up to 3 times a week. We go and empty them all, and then people can bring stuff directly to us in North Street or to any of the outlets. Milton, that's Clarence Park Baptist, St Mark's in Whirl. I'm gonna forget some. Looking Castle Church, where am I missing? Holy Trinity Church, and I'm missing one. Manuel Youth Centre. And I apologise if I've forgotten someone. And also the warehouse in Haywood Village. But what we're asking people is to get in touch with us if they want to drop off at either directly, to ask just to check the times, because not everyone's there all the time. So then we can work out what's the best place and time. And then sometimes we can, if we really, if it's really for someone who's shielding, we've got someone, for example, with shielding who keeps getting deliveries for us, then we just arrange for someone to go and pick it up from them. But obviously, we're quite limited on drivers' spaces and time.
In these mad days of whatever we can muster up help, you guys are just doing what you can with what you've got, and I just love it so much. I'm so happy for you guys and what you do, because there's such a stigma. Well, there used to be a bit of a stigma around people needing assistance or needing essential help, and some people not being able to come forward, being too embarrassed to ask for help. What would you say to anybody that's and ahhing to reaching out about help? Because I was one of those people once, so I don't believe. So I think that's something else I'm trying to share. And
that's what we're there for. And if we can't make it, we can only try to make it a little bit better. And our volunteers will always welcome people with a smile, with a and a hello. There's no judgment, because we know what it's like, and we know that if you come to us, it's probably not been an easy thing to step out of your door and to ask. But we just try to make it as nice as we can, and that's what we try to do. Things like we've done over time. So we had gifts for Christmas. Through lockdown, certainly when the schools have been closed, we've done like craft packs, things the kids engaged in. So just trying to think of little things that would just bring a smile to people. Last week we had a tray of flowers from Marks and Spencer's, and being able to say to people, "Oh, there's a bunch of daffodils for you." Just that little sort of extra thing that is not just about the food. And obviously in pre-COVID time, it would have been about the sitting down, the chatting, the giving time to people, which we know is such an important thing and something that's so king sometimes. Fortunately, we can't really give it now, but it's often we have a conversation on the side. If things are right and it's quiet, we can have a bit of a chat on outside and just make people feel valued.
Yeah, worthy and human, because that's exactly what we are, and that's exactly what we're focusing on as Humans of Weston. You know what I mean? We're just sharing the light, sharing the love, and just reminding everybody that we're just human and we're here to help. So let me read another comment in the comments from Claire, the beautiful Claire from Vans. She says, "Well done, Frederique and the teams for working so hard to provide much needed support."
Oh, thank you. I used to work with Claire in a previous life. A long time ago. Yes,
great. She's a good person. We have another one here from April Lewis. Hi, April. I was lucky once. I was in need, and it wasn't a pandemic, but I had a parent that would help pay for baby milk when I was struggling. So the food bank is a lifeline.
Oh.
Couldn't agree more. And let's just remind you, Frederique, that you're changing people's life. You're giving them help. You're giving them that friendly smile, because sometimes it isn't just about handing out the essentials. It's also that human connection, and that's the beautiful thing, and the benefits to the people, the lives that you're changing. Do you see that every day? Is that why you've been in your job 5 years?
Well, to be fair, the volunteers are certainly a lot more the front line than I am. I'm sort of sometimes at the back and keeping. Yeah, I think that's why that's why the volunteers do give their time as well, because they just do, they know that they're making a difference, that every person they see, and some of the interactions may be very brief, but then there will be that one that, will really touch you. And sometimes, we've all cried, I think, in this place. We've all had a time where we just think this can't be right, or, what can we do? But sometimes if you know that you've just given that extra phone number or just that little sort of signposting sort of suggestion, also makes a huge difference to people, being able to just say, okay, have you tried this? And it might not, it's unlikely to fix everything, but if it just gives that little bit of hope and a bit of, just moving people away. And really, as part of a Trust Food Bank, this is our vision. Really, the vision of the Trust and us is that one day we're not going to be there. That one day our job will be done, and we can just say, okay, close the door and go home. And it might be not quite something that we can see happening just yet, but that's what we want. And so, we've got lots of projects in the pipeline. We hope that COVID will give us a little bit of space to start creating and moving on to that sort of next step of, how do we make that happen? Can we help people to move away from the food bank need and to just get, what they need to live well, really.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, to kind of, teach your man to fish almost, come up with other ideas for the future. And like you said, close your doors eventually when your work is done. But let's continue. I hope you're here for the next year, because I see that, your services are much needed, really, really much needed. So have you got a plan coming out of COVID with the new guidelines? Is there kind of...
So I think at the moment we're unlikely to return to letting people in, probably until the summer. We're going to have a canopy fitted outside, because I suppose we were a bit optimistic, thinking that by the time the winter came, people would be back inside, and then it didn't happen. And then we said, so no, we need to really, sort of live with this at the moment. So we're going to have at the end of this month, we're having a canopy fitted to be able to provide at least shelter to the volunteers and to the visitors, and then we'll have to start working out how we can use our space and maybe start bringing people in smaller numbers. The North Street rooms are still very small, so while social distancing is a thing, it's just virtually impossible. So it's just starting to think about how creatively we start doing some other ways, and what can we do? But yeah, so we keep on looking, we keep on trying. It's a bit of testing all the time.
Yeah, nobody knows anything. I was just wondering what your breakout plans were as they were changing.
Well, there's lots of, it's a bit like some of this flow chart. If this happened, we'll go that way. If that happened, we'll go that way, and then we'll back that way. Nothing is really streamlined. We've learned that you don't have one option. One option does not work.
Well, great, mate. I love the fact that you're creatively thinking.
Yeah,
and you're really...
We're definitely going to keep on some of the local outposts, because we think that's really worked, and it's just created really good. We've always been connected to local churches and local organizations, but that definitely has sort of strengthened that. And, to be able to say to someone, and also the fact that then food is available 6 days a week rather than 3 days. So if we're not there, at least people can go somewhere else. So that's definitely going to stay in some format or another.
I love that. I love all the avenues covered. So April just goes on to say, it's amazing all the hard work you're putting in, and thank you. So I second and third and fourth April on that. And as part of our community, we're just thanking you, Frederique, and your whole team and all the volunteers for everything that you've done. And April, really good question. She asks here, is there any foods that you are often short of? So what kind of donations do you receive most in light?
There's a few items that are always a little bit more hit and miss. So long life milk, is probably one of the items that's often, and ideally not skimmed milk, and tin meat and tin fish. Rice pudding, I don't know why we always seem to be running low on rice pudding.
I like rice pudding.
Well, maybe you're coming and visit us when we're not there. Maybe that's no problem. But, that's our main ones, and then there's other ones that sort of follow. So tin fruit sometimes. To be honest, beans, soup, spaghettis, pasta, all that things. We tend to have plenty, but at the beginning of COVID, it just went. Everything disappeared. We normally keep nearly a year's supplies on some of the items, and everything had gone. Within 2 weeks of the COVID, it was just bare shelves of everything. And then, people came forward, the supermarkets came, and now we've got probably more than we've ever had. But yeah, it's always the milk, the fish, and the meat seem to be the ones.
Okay, that's great. Perfectly. So Stephen goes on to ask, if we haven't covered this already, how does the food bank support people who are shielded and cannot get to the food bank buildings? Now, you said you're limited for transport, so how have you been
so
working?
what we always try really first is to encourage the agencies, if they can, to actually support and come and pick up the food from us. So we're always more than happy for an agency, and that's partially because we do feel that they are the supporting agency, and so if they can actually knock on people's door and see at the same time, what's going on, do they need a bit more? But then we do have deliveries available. So what we're asking is the agencies to actually book the delivery. And we've been working with our drivers, and now actually some of April's guys are coming on board. We've not, it's sort of very hit and miss really about who's there. And the shielding, obviously, group were supported by the government boxes in the first lockdown. So that was a different thing, that had nothing to do with us. So now it tends to be more people who are, who've been told to isolate for 2 weeks, and when it's schools, again, the schools might pick up. So schools have got boxes, so they might support that way. But yeah, we try. It might not be an overnight thing, but we do try to bring the food. That's the last resort. We don't want people to be without.
Of course, and that no doubt is the absolute foundation of what makes you guys so valuable to our community. The fact that you are literally fronting the support and the extra ways and the signposting and the beautiful smiles and your faces and the volunteers, all of those things are really stand out when you think of Weston. We think of helping, and definitely we come on the list of the food bank, which is why exactly you're on the list today. So as we wind down these last few minutes of our live discussion, I want to say obviously thank you very, very much. This is the first time we've actually had the pleasure of meeting, albeit virtually. It's a pleasure, and I hope in future that we could definitely get involved and maybe collaborate on a project somewhere. But as we do wind down, is there any words, last words of wisdom, any final declarations you'd like to make on behalf of the food bank, or just being a human of Weston yourself?
Oh, yeah, just wanted to say thank you to everyone who support us. We've had so many organizations and individuals who've really stepped out of their way, and from the very young who do like crazy challenges to raise funds and buy food for us, to the Rotaries and the big organization. It's just been, it's crazy. And, we get all the credit, but really we can do it. If it wasn't for the people who were really behind us and will give it to us, we only the passing on. It is because people are behind us that we've managed to keep going, and that we've sort of sailed, the COVID storm, and that we're still there. And just thank you, really. And, obviously, thank you to all my volunteers, past, present, future. You're all amazing. But yeah, just thank you to everyone. Every tin really makes a difference. And people sometimes are concerned that they can only give a little something, but just every tin, every chocolate bar makes a difference, and will really, put a smile on people's face.
I second that again. You do put a smile on everybody's face, and you've certainly brought the light to my face today. So thank you so much, Frederica. just to shout out where you share your information. Is it social media or on your website? How do people find out your updates?
Okay, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We did start a TikTok, but we're not really quite there. So maybe not. And then we've got a website. So on the social media, it's WSM Foodbank, and then the website is westonsupamare.foodbank.org.uk. But otherwise, just drop us an email, drop us a line. We'll try. But yeah, we do quite like social media.
Yeah, I like social media too. I do like social media. It's a great way. It's social. It's a great way to interact and find out about what's going on in our area, just like these interviews that have been provided by the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sport in partnership with the National Lottery Fund. For those of you, just a quick reminder, I'm Bev G. Star. I'm a creative director of that Creative Thingy Wotsit. I'm running a project called Creative Connections for Humans of Weston, which I'm also a creator of. And today we've been joined by Frederique from the Weston Supermare Food Bank. So thank you so much, Frederique. And I
thank you.
I'm so chuffed to have had the opportunity to be here today to shine light on you and your team.
Thank you.
So without further ado, do you have anything left to share?
Oh, just stay safe, everyone. Stay well and look after yourself, and see you soon, hopefully.
Perfect. We will see everybody soon. So you stay on the line, Frederique, and we're going to say goodbye to everybody now. So stay in touch, guys. All stay safe. That's how for now. Bye.